Hey everybody, it's Alex Newman at the New American, and today we have a very special guest with us, a good friend of mine, Chris Marcus, who just wrote an excellent new book, The Big Silver Short. Chris, thank you for being with us, and tell us about the coming Silver Short.
Well, it's great to be here, Alex. Thanks for having me on the show. The book is The Big Silver Short. And if anyone has ever seen the movie The Big Short and wondered how things can get out so far out of line, yet saw how the people were able to recognize that things did get so far out of line. Part two has been playing out over the past decade. It's happening in the silver market. And as you detailed quite a bit with all the manipulation in the markets, you sell the same piece of silver to 500 different people. You've set in place the conditions for the ending of It's a Wonderful Life, and it appears to be unfolding now. So it's quite intriguing.
Crazy. And so, Chris, tell us a little bit about this price manipulation. I saw you just recently interviewed Andrew Maguire, if I'm not mistaken, one of the guys who kind of blew the whistle on all this. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the silver market and the broader precious metals market in terms of manipulation of the prices. Who's doing it? Why are they doing it? How are they doing it?
Well, I mean, basically, the gold and silver are traded in paper. So you could have the Fed come out and say they're going to go Weimar tomorrow. Actually, I guess they already did that. But I mean, you could have them announce any easing package you want, as much money printing. And because it's traded in paper, what typically would happen is that there would be some people in there buying gold and silver, but the banks would just sell paper that the metal to exist doesn't deliver because they've sold. Again, the numbers, and that was one of the things talked about in the book. For each piece of silver that exists, there are more than 500 people who think they own it. So that's, the type of scheme that can go on for a while. When will it end? Probably when enough people say, I want physical metal, and you realize the metal reported or believed to be there is not. And again, that's what's fascinating because it appears to be happening now. We're seeing record deliveries on the COMEX. The numbers reportedly being added into SLV and these other silver trusts are just mind-boggling. And when you have the Fed saying they can't even put a number on how much they're going to print unlimited. What do you expect to happen? People aren't morons, and they're seeing the obvious, and it's nice that they're acting on it now too.
And so, who's benefiting from all this, Chris? And how are they benefiting? Are there people making a lot of money off of this? Is this like some kind of scam that people are running off and making a bunch of money? And who's involved?
Well, of course, anytime Wall Street and government are involved, some people ask, really, well, are the banks trying to suppress the price? My guess is that the banks involved really couldn't give a darn whether the price of gold or silver is high or low. But as a former equity options trader, Alex, if you tell me 100% any asset price on the planet, and you guarantee it's going to move 20 cents in one direction or another at a certain time, by front running a whole bunch of other stuff, you essentially have created your own printing press. So the banks have been able to manipulate the price, and they've made money on the way up or down. The reason, it seems to me quite clear, and certainly this was documented more fully in the book, of why the regulators are really going out of their way to ignore evidence. When you think about it, all the stuff that you report on, Alex, is all funded by printed counterfeit money. You remove that, and for thousands of years, I mean, this isn't the first time this happened. Roman Empire. Alex, I know you know how many other current paper currencies have survived the test of time?
So far, zero, huh?
It's zero, and this isn't going to be any different. So that's my best guess of why the regulators sit there, and I think someone on some level is clearly. In fact, it's not my thought. Bart Chilton, former CFTC regulator, who was fortunate to interview before he passed, which was for the book, confirmed as much. So my guess is that a lot of these things come to an end once you can't. Gold and silver are the last thing holding that paper dollar scheme and all of the nefarious things that go on together. So I think they're looking the other way, but unless they've figured out how to find silver, they're gonna have a problem on that one, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's so interesting to talk to you about all this, Chris, because I've seen this with my own two eyes. We've got a gold and silver dealer not far from here that I use from time to time. And even a few months ago, prices on paper, if you go to kitco.com and look at the spot price, it was like 15, 16 bucks. Then the guy's like, yeah, well, we've been selling it for like 25, 30, but we don't have any more. Like, wait a minute, where's the disconnect between the supposed spot price and the actual price that it's selling for? It's just very, very strange. Chris, how do people profit from this? And an additional aside on that, is there a risk that the government's going to do like they did the last time with the, FDR, just executive order, hey guys, you're not allowed to own gold anymore? Is there a risk that we could see confiscation of precious metals, in your opinion? And how do we make money off of this? Say we want to try to profit off of this. Is it possible? How would you do it?
Well, just getting silver is a pretty darn good outcome, in my opinion. I feel pretty comfortable saying that in my entire financial career, plus anything I've read or studied, I've never found anything as out of line or underpriced as silver. Certainly, a lot of people are turning to gold for good reasons. Silver just seems that much more underpriced. So, if you have silver, now if you get into the silver mining stocks, different risk category, but anything related to the price of silver, if you structure it so you don't need it to go up tomorrow, but have some patience, there's going to be a day where I think it will be many multiples higher of where it is now. So that's the short answer on that. And give me the other half of the question again, please.
Is there a risk that the government's going to wake up one day when the value of the dollar collapses and say, "Hey, all you guys with gold and silver, fork it over"?
I mean, there's a risk to anything. I don't know how likely that is. Even my understanding, and it's funny, I actually was reading through Roosevelt's scheme back. I mean, if you actually read the reasons they cited, I mean, it's so absurd. It could have at least done you the service and say, hey, we're going to come steal all of your stuff with a gun to your head. With that said, I've heard that not a lot of people actually turned it in. And I think certainly, in today's day and age where there are people like you out there explaining that, no, it's not for the good of the country. It's the good of JP Morgan or the deep state. So it's possible that they would try. I don't know how successful it would be. I don't worry about that too much, but certainly, yeah, it's a factor to consider. I don't personally think that will happen, but it is possible.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. And in the last minute or so that we have left here, tell us, what do you think is coming for the global economy beyond just, gold, silver, and all that? Where are we headed? Is the stock market overinflated? Are we heading for a dollar collapse? What do you see coming in the months and years ahead?
All of the above. I mean, as again you dig into, it's like I do think a lot of this stuff is planned, and certainly, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to see the U.S. is never going to pay back the money. I do a show where I detail every night 8,000,001 reasons why. In fact, I'll make one guarantee: the Fed will never raise interest rates under this financial system because it would collapse it. I mean, U.S. look at the deficits already, let alone with a real interest rate. So, by all logical measures, it's overdue for this thing to collapse. All right, they're going to keep printing and prolong it as much as possible. But, you were on my show talking about how even Davos, they're calling their theme for next year the Great Reset. So it seems like we're in the late innings. And I would suggest to people, put things in place, whether it's silver or anything else, where you see what's happening. I'm even a former equity options trader, which is short term by nature. I don't try and time whether, when these things are going to happen, but there are going to be some big shifts, very similar to what you saw with the mortgages. And just make sure you have things that match what you're seeing, what you feel comfortable with. Can't sleep at night, you're probably putting it on too big. But if you take care of that stuff, you have a great chance for a really, really life-changing outcome. Not only protect yourself, but come out doing pretty well when this is all said and done.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much for being with us. And one more time, where can people find the Big Silver Short? Where's the best place to get that?
You can find it on Amazon. We have an audio version on Arcadia Economics as well. And anything that people need help with, we try and cover on there.
Excellent. Well, sir, thank you very much for being with us, Chris. Always a pleasure. Take care, my friend. Folks, you heard it here. Big things coming in the silver market, in the gold market, in the value of our currency. Make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you're getting prepared. And make sure you like, share, subscribe this video. Share it with your friends. Get the word out. YouTube won't ever show this to anyone, even if they're looking for it, without your help. So thanks for watching, folks. Take good care, and God bless you all.